Welcome to Woah Drama Stories. We indulge of speaking of day-to-day troubles of human beings. Let's not wait any longer and start with the video. Story 1. It's Thanksgiving season, and unfortunately, this time, I've ended up becoming one of the posters asking for advice, instead of being the usual lurker that I am on this subreddit. It all started when I, female 25, and my husband, who I've been with since the past 7 years, married for 3, decided that we were going to invite his family over for Thanksgiving. Fun, right? It was, at least initially, until my mother-in-law decided she wanted to ruin it all to get her fragile ego fed. This isn't anything new or anything surprising. My mother-in-law has always been the type to ruin someone's day to get her way, and I was absolutely fed up of her, and also about the fact that everyone stayed silent, because after all, according to everyone, she is just a poor old woman who doesn't have many years left in her hands. I mean, why spend the last few years of your life becoming a good person instead? This is a question no one except for her can answer. Back to the actual situation though. My husband and I planned this elaborate Thanksgiving dinner and invited his family of 12. I worked day and night for the past couple of days while juggling work to execute this dinner, because cooking for 12 people is definitely different and harder than cooking for 2 people, which I'm used to. So well, I work extremely hard and Thanksgiving arrives. Everyone was present, everyone had fun, and the food was a hit. I was really on the top of the moon because, like I said, I had worked hard for this to be a pleasant day for everyone. This is also the part where my mother-in-law comes into play though. My mother-in-law starts off by complaining about the meal, and then the complaints turn into her taunting my husband for making a bad choice by marrying me. Everyone's quiet and awkward at this point because no one knows what to say to a woman that has definitely lost her taste buds for finding the meal that everyone thoroughly enjoyed horrendous and sickening, her exact words. I wasn't having any of it. I was so enraged that I did not only flip out on her, but also snatched the boxes of leftovers that I had packed for her to take home. She was shocked because obviously no one had ever done anything like this before. She was so angry that instead of staying over at our place as she planned, she immediately got up and left with my father-in-law. The room fell into awkward silence, and that is when I knew my mother-in-law had ruined Thanksgiving for me. This isn't the end of it all, though. Ever since this situation took place, everyone has been divided due to their opinions. My husband isn't that happy with this outcome, but a lot of my husband's cousins, and even my brother-in-law and his girlfriend, agree that my mother-in-law doesn't get to talk crap about my cooking, and then also enjoy my food. But I'm still split on this situation. Was I the a-hole in this situation? Update. I know you guys were asking for an update, but things took a while to play out and settle down, so I'm sorry for the delay. I first wanted to thank you all for the amazing responses. They weren't just helpful, but some of them were also hilariously calling my mother-in-law out. Update. As for the update, I guess with so many people going against my mother-in-law, she finally realized that she had no option but to go ahead and apologize to me. Even my husband, who wasn't on my side either, ended up siding with me after I sat him down and showed him this post. I guess it was truly eye-opening for him, and he finally decided to grow a spine. The apology my mother-in-law gave me was extremely fake and passive-aggressive as expected, but honestly, as long as she knows what her position is in my life and that I am no longer going to take any of her BS, I don't really care. I'm not planning to leave my husband over this either. I just think as more days pass by, things will actually get better between the two of us, and also, hopefully, my mother-in-law ends up realizing just how much she's going to lose if she doesn't stop now. I mean, at least I can hope so. Comment 1. NTA. Wow, so she wanted to bite the hand that fed her? What a weird lady. Keep standing up for yourself. Comment 2. NTA. Where's your husband in all of this? If he's not taking your side when your mother-in-law berates you in front of a whole crowd and telling him to question his decision of marrying you, I'm sorry to say this, but you need to question your marriage. Comment 3. NTA. Tell the people who side with the mother-in-law that they can host the Thanksgiving dinner the next time if they think she was so right. The damn audacity of these people. Story 2. My best friend, Andrea, female 27, fake name, got married last week, and it was far from the wedding of her dreams. Her downfall started the same day as she announced that she was getting married. Now, I met Andrea in high school. We ended up going to the same college, and basically because of that, we've had the same friend group all our life. So I've seen all of this go down first-handedly. The issue really started when Andrea began demanding gifts immediately after announcing her wedding. The gifts weren't anything small either. It was like the closer you were to her, the pricier the gifts she expected you to get became. From asking for expensive house appliances to asking for free labor under the name of wedding favors and everything in between. As soon as I began hearing people talk about it, I knew instantly that when it came her turn to talk to me, things were going to go very wrong, and boy did they. She approached me in the sweetest of her tone and began probing around. Eventually, she did cut to the chase and told me she was expecting me to pay for a month-long trip to Europe for her and her soon-to-be husband's honeymoon. I was dumbfounded upon hearing her demands, because she and I both know what my financial condition is. I'm a student pursuing my master's full-time, so money is still very tight for me. I went ahead and made it clear to her once again, though, because there was no way I'd be able to afford that type of money over her crazy expensive bridal party expenses. She became quiet at that and told me that she'd have to think about my position in the wedding if that was the case. I felt terrible and heartbroken because after that day, I never heard anything from her. I just watched people drop out or get disinvited from her wedding one after the other. She ended up having the wedding with 15 people out of the 60 people she was meant to invite. And yes, those were all the immediate family members from his and her side. Ever since then, Andrea has been shading me on Facebook by posting heartbreak and betrayal quotes, while her husband and some of her other family members have reached out to me to express how disappointed they were in me because I failed to meet the expectations of Andrea as her best friend and get people to buy her gifts for her once-in-a-lifetime event. Now, I don't even know what to think, which is why I'm here. Was it really so much my fault? If yes, what should I do? TLDR. Best friend demands people to buy gifts for her wedding way out of their budget and ghosts them once they refuse. Now, she's married and no one except for her immediate family showed up, and she's blaming it all on me because I should have convinced people to show up. AITA. Update. A lot of you guys were asking for an update. There's not a lot that has happened since my first post. I just ended up blocking Andrea and her family everywhere like many of you all suggested, and man, has it been a bliss. I didn't even realize how much stress she's been causing me. I think the realization has hit me so hard, and I believe it's due to the fact that I was just so used to her demanding and toxic attitude because I've been friends with her for so long. It feels like a huge burden has been lifted off my back and chest. I know she's still talking about me to whoever is going to listen, but do I really care? Not at all, because I know deep down that she's just projecting hardcore. Now, all I wish for her is peace of mind. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for all of your responses. This definitely has been an eye-opening and much-needed reality check. I can only hope that something like this doesn't happen again. Comment 1. NTA. Seems like Andrea didn't want a wedding. She wanted presents. If I was in the husband's place, I'd genuinely consider marrying this woman, but I also wouldn't be surprised if she's the one who filled up his head with lies. Comment 2. NTA. If so many people dropped out of the wedding, you are definitely not the problem. Plus, WTF do they even mean by convincing people to get her expensive presents? They expected you to make some sales pitch? LOL. I'd cut her out without a second thought. Comment 3. NTA. If you think you're wrong in this situation, you definitely need to work on creating your boundaries, and I think the fact that you cut her out definitely means you started on it. Good for you, OP. Story 3. My parents have never had a good relationship. They got married because my mom got pregnant, and they believed getting married was the right thing when they both knew they weren't at all compatible with each other. Well, we all know where these things usually lead. They had an extremely toxic, exhausting, and borderline abusive relationship with each other. It was a 6-year-long marriage. They got divorced once both of them became financially independent from their parents and found out that they were having an affair with other people. Then what? The field was as clear and free as the night sky for them, and initially, the custody was between the both of them and my grandparents. Eventually, it just became limited to my grandparents. To put it in short, they dumped me at my grandparents and started their new lives. Currently, I'm a senior in high school and live with my grandparents full-time. Years passed by since all that went down, and all these years I was barely in contact with my parents. However, things changed because a couple of weeks back, out of nowhere, I got a call from my mom's number demanding that we meet because she and Dad missed me. I was hesitant and told her no immediately. She begged, and eventually I fell for her emotional manipulation and decided to meet them up. This is when things started to go really downhill really fast. Firstly, the meeting was extremely awkward, and then my parents had the audacity to demand me to move closer to their house because they're getting back together and my mom is pregnant with a child and wants me to be a good sibling and look after it. I was speechless at the news of my mom's pregnancy, but even more at their demands. I immediately told them that I wasn't going to let them use me to play happy family. I expressed to them how heartbroken I was at their terrible decision-making skills. They seemed least interested to hear any of this, and even went as far as to threaten to drag my grandparents to court for custody. I laughed at their faces and told them to try all they wanted, because no court was going to give them custody of a child that was never theirs. The crocodile tears began streaming down my mom's cheeks, and my dad yelled at me to leave. Ever since then, my phone has been blowing up with numerous calls and texts from people, all giving me all sorts of mixed reactions. Some say I should have given my parents a chance because they seem genuine in their request. Big lies. And also because my mom is pregnant and sensitive. Some say that I shouldn't be bothered because my parents are terrible people. I'm not asking for advice if I should go back to living with them or not, because that's definitely not happening. I'm here because I don't know what to do. I just want to know if I'm really as bad as some people are making me seem. I'm open to all judgments. Thanks. Comment 1. NTA. You'd be an a-hole if you left your grandparents for the horrible excuses of parents that your mom and dad are. You seem very firm and sure about your decision, and that seems great. Don't fret. Keep doing you and do good to your grandparents who stepped up when your parents didn't. Comment 2. NTA. For someone of your age, you handled this situation perfectly. If the people who are siding with their parents feel so much remorse for them, maybe they can give away their kids to them to play happy family. LOL. Story 4. For some background, my wife has always had a low self-esteem. It's majorly due to her very conservative family bringing her down because she never fit the Western beauty standards like they expected her to. Even when she got into college and met many people that admired her, including me, she was never really able to unleash that bold side of her. That never stopped me from ever loving her though, and also letting her know just how much she meant to me. She seemed to always appreciate the fact that I did so much to uplift her, but after everything that happened, I think I just wasn't enough for her, because even after years and years of attempts to get her to break out of her shell and failing miserably, it was her new best friend that she met at her art class that changed her in ways I never thought were possible. Now, by this point, you guys might be already calling me the a-hole for not letting women uplift other women. That's not really the case though. If that was it, trust me, I would be on the top of the moon right now. The change that this new best friend of my wife brought in her was just odd. My wife indeed became more confident, bold, but at the same time very secretive, distant. Her gaze, which was previously full of love and support for me, would now show guilt or fear. I began worrying and did something I know I definitely shouldn't have. Snooped through her phone. It was when she was wide asleep, and honestly, it ended up being both a blessing and a curse, because what I found after immediately made me realize that I needed to leave. The back and forth between her so-called best friend and her discussing if she should cheat on me with her new boss, and her best friend simply just pushing her to go with it, because apparently, cheating on your man is some sort of empowerment and girl power. My wife was very hesitant, but the fact that she even gave it a thought was proof enough for me to leave. Within that hour, I packed some things and drove to my best friend's house, instantly blocking off all contact with her. The only people I have talked to ever since are my parents and brother, and that I'm an idiot if I at least don't go and try to talk to her once. The heartbreak this situation has caused me is so much that I feel talking to her really isn't going to do anything for me, which is why I'm on here, on the suggestion of my best friend. I would really appreciate some advice. AITA. Update. It's been a month since I posted my original post, and firstly, I'd like to thank you all for the overwhelming amount of responses you guys left back. It truly means the world to me because those were the messages that kept me going, while most of the people around me tried to force me into getting back with my wife, which I didn't want to do. So words just really cannot express how thankful I am for you guys, and that's why I figured, since it's been a month, there's enough that's gone down to compile it all into this update. Here it goes. I ended up meeting my soon-to-be ex-wife at one of our mutual friends' houses, and there, she talked all about how this new best friend of hers encouraged her to unleash her boldness, and to get the validation of men to boost her confidence. She confessed how the fact that men, including me, started admiring her in ways that she never thought was possible, and that gave her the boost she really needed. I immediately felt sick to my stomach, because what have I not done to try to make this woman feel good about herself? I just sat there stunned as she spoke about all the disgusting things her best friend brainwashed her about, as if she wasn't an active member in those conversations and couldn't take a step back when she wanted. I guess, after all, she just wanted me to think that she was a victim, which I definitely do. She was a victim of her so very fragile sense of self, but I'm not taking her back for any of it because, like I said, with so many moments that she could take a step back, she didn't. She kept taking a step forward, and with that, I decided to take a step forward too, with the divorce, and I don't want it to be a nasty one like many of you all suggested. I'm not going to report her to the HR of her company or tell the best friend's husband about her attitude. All I'm looking for to get in this divorce is to be separated from a woman who is no longer like she used to be, with my head held up high. Thank you guys once again. Comment 1. NTA. Your wife really needs some mental health support. Seems like she really struggles with her self-esteem. But like you said in your update, you don't owe anything to her, especially when she's hurting you. You should never fix anyone at the expense of your mental health. Good luck with life ahead. Comment 2. NTA. Oh God, what's up with people these days calling everything manipulation and brainwashing? Sometimes you are just a horrible human being, and that's what it seems like in this case. I feel bad for OP here. He seems like a good husband.